Here we go. SomeBuddies Podcast, episode 21. We're back. We're in the building. This is my awkward introduction, like I always do. And even I'm nervous for this introduction. We were just saying it because a lot of the times that I have a guest on, I know a ton about them. So I have like a nervous / excited energy right now because our guest I don't know much about. Mr. Christopher Ledoux brought her in the building. What I do know is her name is Jessica Howard. Howard. I do the hard R's. And she is a woman in long-term recovery. She is a spiritual advisor. She is a soon-to-be yoga instructor. And that's as much information as I got. I know Chris gave me a little context on, she has a lot of cool information, and I figured, and it's like a lot of the weird information that Justin loves too. Yeah. And so that I
was a big fan of bringing her on so we could break down some deeper spiritual concepts.
Expand the content of what we're talking about too. That's what I'm interested in about.
We got our usual suspects in the building though. We got
shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up.
We in the building or the building?
The building.
Dude, this guy said earlier said Manchester.
We got Chrissy Ledusky. We got my man J Mac.
My man.
Mr. Recovery. Where the fuck is your book, dude?
Dude, you gave it away.
Oh, I did. Yeah. Mr. Recovery Conscious Mind. 11 copies sold at this current moment.
Hell
and climbing, dude.
We're over 100. All right.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Shit.
Yeah.
My bad.
I think I bought 50.
But most importantly, we have a guest, a female guest, which we've actually been getting some requests. You guys got to get more females on there, more females, and for not to make excuses, but we're pretty much female dominated in our lives. Yeah. In the office, all the head women, all the head people in charge are females. I'm married, so I also have another female boss at home.
She's the real boss.
I have a daughter who's also a boss. I have this, so
boss baby.
So maybe subconsciously we would just we started a man party in this room and we didn't know, just so we could masculine it up for a little bit. But I'm actually excited to get some female perspective in here, especially for our female listeners. Love you, Mom.
Love you, Mom.
Love you, Chris's mom.
Well, and our male listeners. Our male listeners need to embrace some more feminine energies, feminine concepts.
I think I did that for enough.
Sounds crazy, dude, but
my jeans are pretty tight, so I don't know.
So, Jessica, why don't you tell us a little about yourself, and welcome to it's brave to come in here too, to the fucking lion's den of this insanity, and you have watched the podcast, which is cool, so you know we're a little off the cuff and we're not normal, but that intrigued you, which makes me respect you, because if you're into what we're saying, that means you're very open-minded and you have some cool philosophies. And I'd love to hear a little bit about you, a little bit about like what you do, the spiritual stuff, and you're going to rev Justin's engines up a little bit, and that'll be cool. So you want to jump in?
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
I know I walked into the sausage party.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Broke it up with the taco scene.
Yeah.
So here I am. I watched a couple of the podcasts, and then I commented on one of them saying like, "Hey, where the chicks at?" You know. Mm-hmm. And then I think I hit up Chris. Yep. And I was like, "Hey, get me on there. Mm-hmm. You know, let's do this."
Hell yeah.
So here I am. So myself, about me. I am a person in long-term recovery. I did the AA route. But then on top of that, I did my own kind of self-care route also. Because it's more than just like AA and this is what you do. Like a lot of people in recovery have issues. And those issues have to be addressed. Not just, drinking and drugging, but there's like mental issues and whatnot. So I encourage everyone to seek out additional help. What that looks like, I'm not sure. Maybe that's energy healing. Maybe that's exercising, going to church, whatever you need to do. You know, just do it. So that's what I'm about. During my AA journey, I did the steps, and after like the steps, I'm like, all right, cool. Like, what do I do now? Like, now what do I do? Like, do I graduate? Like, what is it, Yeah. And I just can't see myself like going to meetings like my whole life. It's a huge turnoff. So I'm like, all right, so what am I going to do? So I went to like a spiritual church. And like, for me, that's huge because I wasn't really into church at all. It was like, I would like get sweaty. My first AA meeting, I threw up outside because I'm like, oh, I'm gonna melt, you know.
Yeah.
It was super awkward, and everyone's like really nice and talking about God, and my skin was like crawling, and it was uncomfortable, and everyone's like happy and like hugging, and it was like, dude, fuck off, like don't touch me, don't look at me, and like I would leave, and everyone would say, keep coming, and I'm like, why are they saying that? It's just super weird, you know.
Yeah.
So anyways, I go to like the spiritual church because someone told me there was a medium that was going to be there. I'm like, all right, that's cool. And they're like, they do a service, they do some energy healing, someone talks. And then at the end of it, they have like this medium that they're like, okay, you in the corner with the black shirt on, I see your grandmother coming in and all this stuff. And I was like, whoa, this is cool, you know? Yeah. And that was like the only reason I kind of went to that church. And then.
What church was that?
The Church of Spiritual Life.
Okay. Where is that? Is that Nashville?
So there was, the one I went to was in Derry, New Hampshire. I think they're closed now. And then there was a Salem, Mass one.
Okay.
But
they didn't make it?
They're all over.
It's in Salem, Mass. It's fucked up.
Yeah, it is. Don't go there, like in October. So, yeah, they're all over. And after, like, church, they would have, like, meetings and people would talk. And then during the week, they would have all these, like, classes. And, like, classes, they would have, like, drumming circles or psychometry where you hold like an object and you can feel like the past object of who made it, who owned it, and stuff like that, and like all this stuff. And so I was like, cool, like this is my jam, like I'm down with that. So I started doing that, and that's, for me, that's like what worked to work on myself, you know, because like you're sober and you're like, cool, like let's go live, let's go do stuff like sober. And so that's what I was doing.
No, absolutely. I think and a lot of what you're talking about is stuff that we believe in. It's like, I always call it the secondary component. Like, I believe 12-step recovery is the foundation from which we build upon, but it's like you don't lay the foundation and start building. So it's like there's so many things that work so well in conjunction with recovery. Like your basis was AA that got you on the journey, and then you continued the journey. A lot of people cash out the chip. So like,
right,
they complete and then they're like, all right, I'm good. And I've been around long enough to watch that fade and fizzle out, you know, and a lot of people, you know, they start to convince themselves like, oh, I can drink wine or stuff like that, or because life isn't enough, because the external world isn't what's going to fulfill us, right? It's an internal journey that we have to go on. And in order for us to truly seek out these things, we have to step out of our comfort zone, and we have to like be open-minded. It's like Justin's philosophy is like, that he's going to obviously get into, which I love. It's like, it's getting rid of the this or that concept and implementing the this and that there are things like everything can work in conjunction with one another. And there's so many beautiful things that you can implement, and to truly go on a spiritual journey. It's like me, like I'm not like a religious dude, but I'm reading a book right now on Jesus. He's my favorite biblical figure. I can't tell you that I'm a religious, I don't go to church, I don't do nothing, but the story of Jesus and the collection of like fuck ups, and like that's who he chose to like follow. I'm just obsessed with it, and I'm obsessed with like some Buddhist philosophy, just so much stuff, and I just like to feed my mind ideas and go on like journeys, and it helps with self-exploration, right? It opens up parts of you that you didn't even know were in existence, and it gets you to have dialogue and conversations that you normally wouldn't have, because there's questions that you begin to ask through the process of learning through new experiences. And that's for me, when I see people just go to NA, just go to AA, they work the steps once and stuff like that, and then they're done, and they just like sponsor 800 people, and they go to meetings every day. And I watched that pathway, and for me, that was never enough. You know what I mean? Right. That was never enough. And I know Justin's real big. He always talks about the 11th step.
Yeah, the 11th step, or AA, is very adamant about the spiritual journey.
Right.
They're like adamant about it. Bill W. was saying if someone finds a spiritual path outside of AA, you should encourage them to follow that path.
Yep.
But are we still honoring that in 12th step? I would say, not really. It's become kind of, you know, AA and NA, people think like this is the way, this is the only way. I got an NA sponsor, got an NA sponsor, got an NA sponsor, and they're very prideful about I get everything I need from NA. And it's like, that's being closed-minded.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's many paths to one destination. And if you take all the paths, you're that much more versed. But the issue with the this or that is you could be going from Florida to New Hampshire, and you could hike the Appalachian Trail. You could take a Lamborghini. One guy could hike the Appalachian Trail. One guy could take a Lamborghini and drive up, and the last guy could fly. The guy taking the Appalachian Trail's going to say that the guy taking the Lamborghini's a douchebag. The guy, the guy who's in the Lamborghini is going to say the guy on the Appalachian Trail is like some hippie idiot. And the guy who flew is going to say they're both idiots. It took me 2 hours to get here.
Yeah.
When the truth is, all three could benefit from taking all three paths. You can only take one path so many times before it just doesn't, you're not learning, you're not growing.
I like that.
You know?
That was
And it's
good.
your own path. Like my truth is not your truth. I got to get there a certain way. Just
Yeah,
like you said.
exactly. And
Whether
you gotta
it's the
listen to
Lambo
yourself.
Or like the hippie vibe, like whatever. But like that's what spirituality is. Like you're able to listen to like yourself. It's not like that chatter, the monkey, like when you're messed up, right? It's like connecting to yourself and like trusting and like listening to it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like when you first meet someone and you're like, oh, I don't like that dude. It's like, why? Like even if you don't know anything about him, it's because like you feel it in your gut and like that inner knowing, like you trust yourself. And like that's what I do on like a regular basis. Even if it seems like so weird and like odd, I'm listening to it. Because when I don't, I screw myself.
My gut has never lied to me.
But
You know what I mean?
Right?
No, I
It's
agree
never
with
lied to
you.
me.
But one of the issues we have in recovery at this point is that we're not teaching people to learn from their experience. We're teaching them to like just fix it by you know what I mean? It's very easy to like for people to be programmed that like, oh, if you feel bad, you just go to a meeting. And it's like, I'm not saying you shouldn't go to a meeting, but you feeling bad is telling you something that you need to know about yourself.
Right.
And so that's the difference. Are you using the tools as an interpretation to learn? Because, I mean, it says in Conversations with God, one of the ways God communicates with us is through feelings. And, we've been denying feelings for years, and we suppress feelings using drugs and alcohol. And then we get into recovery, and it's still an easy habit to want to just fix your feelings with something. Obviously you can fix your feelings with stuff outside yourself, but you can still fix your feelings just with a meeting. It can just make you feel better, but it's still your job to interpret how you're feeling so you can learn from it. Because if you don't learn from it, you just continue to make the same mistakes, in my experience.
Yeah, no, but so here's where I stand on a lot of this shit too. It's like getting to the intuitive state, right? The flow state that you're talking about, being spiritually led and stuff like that. Like it takes a lot of work to get there, right? And I'm like high preach on this stuff, but why? Like with the 12-step fellowship and stuff like that, why I'm like a big advocate is because the foundation of everything that we do, and I'm repetitive in nature with what I say on here. I say it to people that it doesn't matter, but repetition is the mother of all skill, which is why I'm repetitive. Sometimes it's more for me, not even for you, because I need this shit ingrained in my head, but it's through the connections that we make that give us the opportunity to be honest. Right. And when we begin the process of honesty, we have the dialogue that is the most important dialogue that we can ever have. So we can bring the suppression of truth and all this shit to the surface, to the light, so it can lose its power of control over us. Right. Because when we first come in here, there is no intuitive state because there's too much clutter. There's too much clutter for us to get to that clarity internally. So we begin the process of dialogue to get rid of a lot of the noise. Not all of it, because it never gets completely quiet, but quiet enough so that we can start to get intuitive and in touch with our spirit once again. I call it the sunlight of the spirit, right? Because through the act of addiction, it was suppressed, it was put out, and there's so much of this guilt and shame and fucked up things that we bring in. And the more that we harness these feelings and we push it down and suppress it, the crazier we get mentally. And the crazier we get mentally, it's the power of the mind, right? The untrue fucked up thoughts become the untrue fucked up feelings, right? There is emotional repercussions to the thoughts that we have, whether we give it permission or not. It's like if you stay in a state of suppression of truth, you're going to feel the emotional repercussions of that if you don't have the dialogue that's going to get you out of that, if you don't get the help that you need. It's like I could start to feel inadequate or feel bad about myself and have all these thoughts. And if I just harness that and I keep that in a place of suppression, I'll start to feel the emotional repercussions of that, whether it's true or not. It's the subconscious mind doesn't decipher between what's fact or fiction. It takes the information that we feed it and brings it into the physical reality. And that's with anything, whether it's just stupid fucking thoughts, and especially addicts in early recovery. We talked about this last episode. The doubt creeps in. I can't, this ain't going to happen. I won't be able to. There's so much of that blocks that. But when we make those connections and we make those relationships and we begin process of having dialogue and we can get past the insanity and we learn what's the disease and where it's manifesting itself and how it's trying to control us with thoughts, and we engage in dialogue, we start to get some freedom and we de-weaponize the disease, the alcoholism or whatever the fuck it is, and then we can get into a place of intuition. And then we can start to follow that. But it's like getting us to a place where we can trust being led by that, because intuitively when I first came around, I thought you were all fucking creeps.
Yeah.
I thought you were all trying to hurt me. I thought everybody was trying to hurt me. I didn't feel like I could trust anybody. If you turned around and said something to Jay for a fucking fact you were talking about me, I felt it. You probably weren't, but I was the most important in the room. And I was uniquely fucked up and everything. And it was like, that was because the disease was so strong in here.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like the work and the process of like all that stuff, the being transparent with where I'm at in spite of what it looks like, right? Getting past that fear.
Yeah, but so in spiritual terms, though, what you're talking about, Chris, in my opinion, is like you talked about the flow state, and the opposite of flow is resistance. Yeah. And so it's really, if you can conceptualize it, am I being open or am I being closed? And it's like self-will, you're closed. You're in and of your own volition. You're listening to your own thoughts. Like, you know what I mean? So they overwhelm you and you can't listen to your intuition. The second that you become open, there are many tools to become open. You know what I mean? So you can go to a meeting, whether you realize it or not. When you're sitting in a meeting, you're in an open state. You're asking for help. You're positioning yourself for help. You can call somebody and talk about what's going on. You can read a book. You can listen to a podcast. You can do a lot of things. You can meditate. You know what I mean? Even meditation, everybody thinks is this like advanced skill, but it's not. Like you just start, and as you do it, you get better at it. But it's, so for me, it's more, and welcome to the show. This is what we do. We invite people on the show to like listen to us.
Big, what's your name? Anyways, next.
You gotta literally.
You gotta go.
Yeah, shut us the fuck up, please.
But it's
please,
like, it's
just jump
about,
in. Don't wait for an opening, because if there's an opening, I'm taking
you
it.
do what
And
I
if
do.
there's
I
an
start
opening,
raising my hand.
Raise your hand.
but don't raise your hand, Jay, because
Yeah, no. Mad B.O.
But it's about being in an open state, not a closed state.
Yeah.
Like, but for me, it's about the interpretation. Are we teaching it right? You know what I mean? Are we teaching people to go deeper on a spiritual path, to know themselves better? Is that the purpose of what you're doing in recovery, or do you understand that? And it's very easy not to understand that. And then, you know, if you can understand the why, you can bear anyhow. So if you understand why you're doing something, then you might continue to do it. But if you don't understand why you're doing something, so a lot of people just go to meetings, but they don't understand that it's a tool to be open.
True.
Yeah.
So as a result, they go to a meeting and it sucks, and they're like, these meetings suck.
Right.
What's the point?
I think what's interesting to me, what she said, because you started off going to AA, and then you ultimately found the path that you enjoyed the most, and that kind of explains my journey in a sense of, I still do 12-step recovery, and I've been an artist pretty much since I was a kid. And when I started going to meetings and really understanding how to stay clean and implement the stuff that I was learning in recovery, it made me realize how much of a passion I had and the things I wanted to strive for. The only difference is I've grown with what I do with my passions, and this is just my story, through doing NA. So I love hearing, though, that someone started off one way and went to something that you're passionate about, because at the end of the day, you only know your path, and Justin, you know your path. I can't project what someone else's path is. You just said your gut's never wrong. I feel the same way. And I heard a friend say something the other night where he's like, you know, even when I was fucking getting high and running around being crazy, I still knew right from wrong, and it clicked. And I realized even as a kid, I was like stale and young. Did I think it was cool at the time? Yeah, to like show the older kids like, oh, I boosted this. I'm here to tell you that even when that was happening, I knew it was the wrong thing to do. And now years later, at fucking 40 years old, and being an artist and painting and still going to meetings, things that I had to do to start to learn how to stay clean are not the same things. I don't go to 7 fucking meetings a week. I don't write step work every week. I don't fucking, talk to my sponsor every day. None of that stuff. I go to the gym. I started meditating. To me, I've been friends with Justin for 18 years. I've heard him talking about meditating for a long time. And I'm here to tell you that in the beginning, I was like, I won't ever do that. I think it sounds stupid. And now I won't even start my day without doing it. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm missing out on something, because I had like a limited belief. I would think for a while, I just got to go to a meeting, fucking raise my hand, say what's going on for the day. And I was like a fucking robot. And now my life is like working out. I'm trying to eat better now. I went so long with being like, oh, I'm kind of in shape. And that's fine. But that's, for me, inside, the way that I'm eating lately isn't right. So I'm fixing that. I want to meditate. So I'm doing that. I read, right? I wasn't good in school. I used to be like afraid of reading. Like in school, if they call my name and I would stutter, that's the worst thing that could happen is the class laugh at you, right? Now I like reading. I do it.
That's fucked up, and you guys fucking laugh at me every time I fuck. That's the bullied becomes the bully. Yeah. You were gonna say something. Hurry up!
I want to hear more about your deeper spiritual path. To be honest, the healing arts. I think it's important that people understand.
So, like for me, I don't go to meetings anymore. They don't resonate with me.
Off with your head.
And here's why.
Shut her mic off.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you for coming. No, I'm just fucking with you.
And here's why. Because they don't resonate with me. And when I go in there energetically, it's a cesspool. And I don't mean that negatively. I mean it because there's so much people and feelings and emotions and shit going on. Right. So it would be like me going to like a graveyard. It's like, and you feel all these like different energies. And it's like, for me, I can pick up and feel a lot of people's stuff and it's uncomfortable.
You're an empath.
So, yeah, I guess so. But I don't want to walk in there to do that. And it's like, it's painful. And I can see stuff on people. I can see auras. I can be like, oh yeah, this guy has blood cancer. Like, why would I want to do that? You know? And then.
Do I?
No. It's just an example. But like it's just super like dense and it's like heavy and you know a lot of people share and sometimes it's positive, sometimes it's like negative and it's just like this isn't working, you know? So that's why I kind of like do my own thing, whether it's like exercise or like painting or writing or whatnot.
I think what's intriguing about what she just said is that's the exact opposite of why I enjoy meetings. I look around, I see someone's bags under their eyes, right? It's like the fucking curtains to hell. You look over, it's like that guy has no hours clean. Or this one over here probably wants to kill himself. This one over here, they share that they lost their parents. They don't know how to live life. And that is heavy. And there's times I've gone home and been like tearing up on a ride home, like, holy shit, just took on some heavy shit.
Yeah.
And then I'm fucking excited to wake up the next morning and do the same thing.
Yeah, so we're different.
Oh, no, that's my
cool.
point. That's why it's intriguing to me. I like I'm not really into spirituality and all that, but I want to know more about it.
Well, and I think energy, at the end of the day, every meeting can be different. I've walked into meetings that are fucking morgue. I agree with you.
You said that last week.
Oh, my God.
That's why I looked at you.
You know what I mean? But I've also been to meetings where, like, the hope, the energy of hope has taken over the meeting. Because really, that's what's supposed to happen.
That's what's supposed to happen.
Does it? I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Sometimes it's a morgue, and sometimes what are you bringing to the meeting to change that?
Yeah,
I agree with you. It's at the end of the day, though, a meeting is it's a collective of people's energy. So it's like everybody here has been to a meeting where the speaker's kind of blah, and the meeting just kind of takes like fucking goes down the tubes, and the energy just sucks for the whole meeting. And energetically, we are energetic beings and do feel energy. So, but at the same note, you've learned how to find positive energy elsewhere, where most people will just stop going to a meeting and they'll relapse because they're relying on their own energy, which you know what I mean? Early in recovery, we're not skilled enough to tune our energy at the end of the day.
Right. And like I didn't know what to do at the beginning. So I was like, everyone's like, oh, I need a meeting. And it's weird because everyone says like meeting, like they drop like the G, like I need a meeting. Like, what is that? Like, why do people say that?
It's called keeping it gangster. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I missed that.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, you must not be from Nashua.
Oh, shit.
Stifle. But yeah, so like I did find my own way. And so that's my jam now. I do energy healing. I had it done to me, and I fell in love with it. So I had Reiki done like a while ago. I used to volunteer at like Hope, and I did Reiki for recovery. And then at Revive, I did like a meditation type of thing, but it kind of turned into like an energy type of thing. People were kind of weirded out. And then eventually I got into Marconics. And then that's kind of where it kind of took off.
What is Marconics?
Yeah, exactly.
So Marconics is a different healing modality. So like Reiki is a healing modality. There's like thousands of different types. Marconics is different because it's ascension energy healing. And it it goes through higher dimensions. So like Reiki is like a third dimension healing modality. So you have limitations. So you hit like a ceiling. We as humans, we're multi-dimensional beings. So we have access to higher dimensions. So if you want to go higher, I would suggest going with Marconics. Just because it's different in terms of intensity. And Reiki is more animalistic and primal. And Marconics is more like galactic type energy.
Yeah.
So
could you kind of elaborate a little? Like, so what is, how, like, I know I've had Reiki done, I've had energy stuff, and that's like, with the Reiki, it was, I mean, it's cool. I love it. I honestly, I could tell I felt better after it was done. The gentleman, okay, let's give him a shout out. What was his name?
Mark.
Oh man.
Marco, man.
Shout out Mark. He's the nicest guy too, man. I wish I love it. It was the second time that I've had it done, and
he's not only Reiki either though, but yeah.
But I know what that process consisted of. Like he was explaining it to me and stuff like that. So I kind of got an idea of what that is. But what is like a process of Marconics? Like how to like what is like, how do you get into a state? Is it like through deep breath works? Is it like more of like the crystals? Is it like...
So Marconics, it's the same protocol that's done every time. And it's called a no touch session because I don't actually touch you. So you lay on a massage table on your back, and I harness energy from the 144th dimension through my crown chakra, through my body, and then out my hands, and the chakras on your hands. So it's kind of like beaming out. And then there's certain spots on your body, on your chakras, that I would put my hands over. And doing so, it activates spontaneous healing. So I hit like chakras, and then there's like 8 axotonal points on your body. So think of there's like a grid that like lays on your body, those points that I'm hitting. And I do it every single time the same way to everybody, as opposed to like Reiki where you're like, oh, I'm having a hard time like speaking, and then I would work on like your throat chakra type of thing and like be specific. And then with Reiki, you call in, it could be anything. Like you can call in like Archangel Michael, you can call in the gremlins, you know, it's like whoever, it's whatever. With Marconics, it's one energy, one call in. So it's like the same thing every time. You're not messing around with whatever you want, you know.
And the energy goes where it's needed? Is my understanding?
So the energy, it goes where my hands are going on certain spots in the body. But what happens is the higher aspect of yourself, like the higher version of you, governs what's happening. So that is in control of what's going to happen to you that day in that session. So for instance, people would be on a table, they would be like crying. Some people are laughing, some people are twitching, a lot of people are like shaking, because the energy coming through, it's really intense. And so like how do people deal with it? Like it just runs through their body. And some people would say it feels like electricity, or it feels like heat, or they have like different sensations. A lot of people, they see stuff with like their third eye, they see colors, they feel stuff, they have visions, they have past issues brought up. And what happens is during the session, it activates your DNA and it breaks down past karmic trauma. So this past trauma may or may not even be yours. So even though, let's say, like you did the steps and you worked on yourself and you're like, oh, I really got over that issue with my dad or this and that. Well, it's written on wish. Well, it's written on paper, right? And it's been 3 years, but then it may actually surface. And it's like surfacing almost like a bubble to get popped, to like let it go and to like heal again, you know? So.
Or you were even talking about like past energy. It's like your grandfather might have killed somebody, and it never. No, as crazy as this sounds, like legit in the spiritual world, if it was never released, that energy carries on.
My grandfather might have killed someone.
Yeah, I saw it, dude. I saw some shit.
I'm still laughing to myself about Chris's dad comment.
Strap up. We're there. We're going there.
I
Justin grabbed the wheel, dude. I knew it was gonna get weird. Here we
You
go.
can go weird as whatever.
Nah, it's.
I mean,
it
it
is
is what it is.
I'm not just because it sounds weird. Doesn't I believe in most of the stuff that
They've proven that DNA has intelligence.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
been scientifically proven. So is it that hard to believe that your DNA holds
Trauma.
trauma?
And
Your
then-
DNA holds trauma, and it can even hold past trauma, like from before you.
Right.
Yeah. Well, no, I
believe
fucking fully believe that stuff, but I can't. It's like I'm just gonna. It's undeniably weird and sounding. You know what I mean?
Gotcha. I got you.
But that doesn't mean that it's not.
We just lost 50 people.
That's okay.
No, I'm just
Dude,
We
I'm
just gained
literally,
100 more.
I'm
That's
still,
right. That's right. Hell yeah.
I'm still
Fucking
laughing
human
at the
ascension.
I
Slid
wish.
in. Yeah. I said, just fucking threw it out there.
I appreciated that joke, and no one got it. I'm happy you didn't miss a beat, but dude,
Yeah.
that was fucking.
I heard it, then I was like, oh man, I feel for him.
Oh,
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah, because you're a kind spirit. I'm over here laughing at his sadness. Oh, God.
That's why he said it.
So when you say you
So
channel
good.
one energy, what energy is that? Is it source energy, or it's your higher self energy, or?
So for me, I channel, well, it's not even channeling. It's like I call in Marconics energy.
Okay.
So that, which is like separate. When I do like writing or like meditation, I don't want to say like channeling. It's more of like data streaming. So I can connect to my higher self and like ask questions and then receive answers
Yep. Okay.
type of thing. Yeah.
So go there. Go, Justin. I want, so you were just
Go there.
So he was just talking about cool stuff in the office the other day, and he was talking about sometimes we're here for it's the learning shit that you
Well, so it's like your higher self. So ultimately, there's, a future version of yourself. You might have come back to this earth. You might have already lived lives, and you might be trying to learn a lesson while you're here. So you might be in 5th density or 6th density. Like, if you start to study space and time, you'll come to realize that it doesn't even exist.
Right.
And physics is kind of proving that. So there's a past you, there's a future you. All these things exist. When people see the future, they actually are seeing probabilities of the future.
Right.
With the law of attraction and other stuff. But so say, you have already graduated and you've gained a lot of wisdom. So the best example of this is this, because I was listening to this thing the other day. And I do want to talk about this in reference to your healing, because your healing, in my opinion, is of feminine energy. Am I wrong about that?
No, I think it's both.
It's both. So it's balanced.
Well, yeah.
So it's
I
coming
think,
from
I think as it should
6th
be.
or 7th density. No, I agree with you.
So, I mean, the energy is coming from the 144th dimension, right?
Okay.
And then, like you talked about, like we're here and we like live these like lessons. So, like you come back and you're brought back, like Justin's brought back to like Earth is kind of, think of it as like this weird video game, right? And you have to get to different levels. So like you're coming back on level 2, and on level 2 you're going to learn about honesty. And then you're like, cool, I master that. And then you go on to the next level, and you're going to learn about being humble, right? When you don't learn about being humble, guess what? You get to do it all again. Then you're going to start all over again. And it's like that cycle.
How many levels are there? I have so many.
I mean, it's not like
It's not an actual
Like, is
video
there
game.
Well,
like,
no,
it's
so
I
not-
it's
win?
It's not like
Well, no,
AA.
but think about this for a
do I
second.
get the princess at the end? Like, I don't know. Like, is this Mario?
Shift. Could you does she sound
Low?
low?
Yeah, a little bit.
Just
You-
pull shift. Just turn just a little closer. Yeah, because I like this stuff.
So
And-
it's both energies.
and he was just talking about this like yesterday.
I was, but so I understand that. Let me just give people a different concept with this. So it's like Jesus's teachings were very based in love. Love is a feminine energy. When I mentioned in the beginning of the podcast, some men could use some more feminine energy, I mean some more compassion and love. That's what I'm talking about. So if that's weird to you, fucking deal with it. You know what I mean?
Whoever he's talking,
Oh,
he's getting.
Well, I'm just saying. Oh, dude, all you guys got uncomfortable. I was talking to you guys actually, because I saw you like,
shit.
oh man, what's he talking
want-
about?
you want the
That's what I
smoke?
was fucking talking about. So,
I've been in the feminine, bro.
yo,
I love this,
Why don't you
Justin.
tone down that masculinity over there, dude?
He just turned his femininity
You guys
super
need some
masculine.
more feminine energy. Go fuck
Bitches, I'll
yourself.
kill you.
I get it. Like,
Looking at the camera, you need to get feminine, you fucking bitch.
I'm super masculine, my energy.
Well, no, so that's the thing. So let's talk about
I
that. So
got it.
masculine energy is more mind and wisdom energy. When they say love and light, light actually represents wisdom. So you might come back here because you might have like a lot of innate wisdom, but you still need to work on love. Do you know what I mean? So you might come here and just like sharing on a podcast, dropping knowledge is comfortable to you, but sharing how you feel and opening your heart chakra to like love and compassion is difficult for you. And it's difficult for you because you're here in this life trying to balance the energies. Right. You're trying to learn the lesson and become more of a balanced whole. And so that, you know, so to me, so Marconics is both, so maybe you should just go to Marconics. To me, 12-step is kind of masculine. It's like very knowledge-based. They mention God, but they don't really, and love and all that other stuff, right. But they don't really teach inner child healing or getting in touch with yourself and stuff like that. So, and they say that, you know, they reference feminine healing as like Jesus healing as like cutting the head off with a guillotine. This is what they say. They say masculine energy. So they reference Jesus as like as a feminine healer. They reference Buddha as a masculine healer who's about enlightenment through wisdom and snuffing out the ego. But they say that if you do it through knowledge, it's like killing through 1,000 cuts. So it's actually a longer process through the mind. And if you think about 12-step recovery, we do get a lot in the mind, you know what I mean? And we're trying to like change our thinking constantly, but it's a long process and it's very difficult. And so what I'm challenging people is I think some more spiritual, because really the 11th step is both. Telling us to leave the fellowship and find different paths of healing. Right. And so here we're talking about healing, and I deeply believe in the 12 steps, but I also know that I've been in recovery for 23 years, and there was more work to be done when I had worked the 12 steps multiple times. I still seeked healing, and I found that healing through deeper spiritual practices, a deep breath works. I personally haven't done Marconics. I've seen like spiritual hypnotists and seen past lives. I've done past life transgressions. I've done I've done RTT. I've done a lot of stuff. I'm a deep meditator. And so to me, I've gotten a deeper healing and deeper understanding of myself. And I've been able to intuitively listen to myself better through that path. And so I do think it's important that 12-step recovery evolves to kind of encourage people to find who they are through many paths. Yeah. And so they can have a basis of 12-step, but it doesn't need to be a competition. And it's like sometimes you hear in 12-step, I get everything I need in here. You know what I mean? I don't need to go anywhere else. This is the best. You know what I mean? This is, AA's like all I need. It's the best, And I'm not saying that maybe for one person that is the case, but in my experience, like I've become a more whole person by being open to more and more knowledge, because the more knowledge I gain, the more expansive I can be, and the more it can challenge me to go deeper.
So what's kind of encouraged me though, I feel like, it would be going to 12-step meetings, because I got encouraged by other people, right? That's what kind of helped me figure out like what I want to do. Just like your journey, right? You went to AA, figured out, what, this isn't for me, bad energy, and you found your own pathway, which is amazing. And that's what everyone wants to hear. Because I remember at 6 months clean, I went to go visit my brother out in Wisconsin, and people thought I just didn't tell. I told a couple of people, and everyone's like hitting me up like, "Oh, did you use? Did you get high? You're gonna get high," just because I wasn't at my home group. You know what I mean? And I feel like I was instilled a lot of fear, minus my sponsor who told me, he's like, whatever works for you, work it, right? Because I did 12-step, went through the steps of AA, but I was going to NA meetings because of my work schedule.
Blasphemy.
And I got I thought I was going to get stoned outside of the meeting by all the home group members, right? Yeah, and that to me can turn people away.
Right.
Well, it's prideful. It's prideful. That's prideful, and pride is not a positive energy.
No, it's
pride
not.
Pride stops you from spiritual growth.
And I'm surprised that I went back, because I've seen people not go back to meetings that way. People get high and people overdose and die, or people don't come back ever. And that's the scary thing. You know what I mean? Just like some resentments I had to get over. There was an old timer I looked up to, 30 plus years. Chronic relapser came in. I remember we went to go shake his hand. He didn't shake his hand, right? And now at the end of the day, like I was sitting there, I'm like, dude, who the fuck is this guy? But that's on him, you know? And that's when I enjoy meetings. I truly do. But I also know like what's going to work for me on the outside. And meetings aren't going to be open. Look at COVID happened. Meetings shut down. Thank God for Zoom. But like I missed that human interaction. What if the internet went down? People didn't have meetings. I have to find some type of different outlet. Like for me, it's like working out, like hanging out with guys in recovery. And like I wish I found a passion like painting or like being artistic or something like that. And I think I will over time. But it's just about following what's in here. And just like my comment from before, like, yeah, like my gut never like led me wrong. My gut didn't, but this did. Because it was thinking about the next one.
Right.
You know?
But what we're talking about too, just to be clear, it's not the way the program's laid out.
No,
It's
no.
just we've been starting to like
Oh, people fuck everything up.
People
Yeah.
fuck
The
everything
second
up.
we get people, you get people involved in anything, we fuck it up.
Exactly.
And we twist it up. It's just the way of the world.
Yeah. So I'm not trying to like.
We've participated in fucking it up at some point. You know what I mean?
I
Like
was a
it's
fucking NA Nazi. I was the guy who would tell you, fucking, you can't go to AA. Dude, my
That'd break
brother.
my heart if
dude,
you said that to me today.
I just got to tell you a fucking story here. It's like my brother fucking was on Suboxone and he was going to AA, and I refused to go to an AA meeting with him because I was so fucking ignorant and so brainwashed with like, I only do NA. You know what I mean? I was such an NA Nazi, and my brother overdosed and died. And I deeply regret not joining his path in a, you know, in the essence of like love, in the essence of the principles to try to help him. Because I bought into some egotistical bullshit, to be honest. And it's sold in our program sometimes, and it has nothing to do with the spiritual path. So I deeply love the program, and it's not like anything that you'll find like in the literature. It's our misinterpretation. You know what I mean? It's our misinterpretation. So I'm just challenging that. I'm not putting 12-step recovery down. I have the clean
Think
time
about
I
what
have,
we've
and I'm
heard for the
deeply-
longest time. It's a simple program for complicated people, and we'll fuck up the simplicity of it.
Exactly, but if we can talk about it, if we can have an open discussion about it, maybe we can evolve past it. That would be my goal.
It's supposed to be an open-minded program, but it's really not.
Exactly, it's an open-minded
It's
program.
not until it is for some. It's most are not open-minded, and it takes work to get there. So people get judged. People are closed-minded. You're supposed to tell the truth, but most people fucking lie. That's our story. You've said it a million times that it wasn't. You went finally with pain and shared your truth. That opened the doors for a bunch of us. I relapsed with fucking 8 years clean because I felt like I had to share a certain way and not the way I'm actually feeling.
Yeah.
So I fell into the fucking my own lies.
But you were taught it too. That's the issue. Look, the one thing I'm challenging is that it's the
one-
old timers that are teaching one program. You know what I mean?
I was told-
there's a lot of old timers who are living in like that's who they are.
Right, it's
You know what I
black
mean?
and white.
It's
There's no
become
gray.
it's become their identity. Like them in the AA program with their 30 years or whatever it is, you know what I mean? Like that's who they are. And what I'm saying is it's a piece of who you are, but we're energetic beings. We are one. So anytime that a teaching doesn't align with the principles, it doesn't really hold weight. You know what I mean? Because ultimately you have two spiritual programs that ultimately the members should be connecting. Ultimately, AA or NA should connect you to all of humanity eventually. That's the spiritual path. We are one energetically. We are all connected. And the deeper you go in that, the more you'll start to get into that flow and essence. You know what I mean? Like you were talking about your diet. It's like I went vegan for specifically love and compassion for animals.
Yeah.
That's my focus. You know what I mean? So it's like, but again, that's fucking 22. To me, I'm just always trying to evolve.
Yeah,
Like that's the process I'm on now.
And like vegan, that actually raises your vibration also, because like talk about like food and diet. If you think about eating like an apple, okay, like how does that make you feel? You think about eating like steak, how does that make you feel? Like one feels super light and it's like a sea from the sun, and one is super dense and is death, essentially. It's like a bloody death, right? I mean, whatever, it's dinner, but it's death. So they feel like so different. It's almost like the energy, like I explained, like going into like a funeral, like it's heavy and it's yucky and you can just sense the sadness, right? And then like you go to like a wedding, people like vibrant, like they're dancing and they're happy, and they both feel like super different. And that's the same thing with like energy, with like food, meetings, like everything.
Are you vegan?
Something. I'm like, I don't like to box myself in.
Like what day of the
I
week?
feel ya,
It's
yeah.
like what?
No, like I eat a lot. Like I'm plant-based and like I juice a lot. And I mean, I was vegan for a while, but then I did like just seafood, and then I just did like raw seafood. But like I've been eating red meat on occasion.
Yeah.
And like I don't even want to. It's just like I honor my body. Like my body wanted it. My body needed it. So
Yeah.
like I didn't do it.
Honoring your body. I like
So
that.
like I ate it because obviously I needed iron or whatever the
Or
reason
I had a
is.
spiritual teacher tell me that sometimes you need to be more grounded. Maybe your job here is, and meat will ground you, actually.
Totally.
So
That
it's,
makes sense. Like when I
yeah.
do like a lot of energy work, I'm eating meat, I'm eating potatoes, I'm eating dark chocolate, and that's like another grounding mechanism.
yeah. So
So like I listen. I mean, I didn't want to, but
So it's about listening to your body.
like for me it is.
Yeah.
Like,
No, I'm
Yeah.
open to it. I'm just trying to understand it. This is
right.
all.
I mean, obviously, I'm not gonna be like, oh, I want Reese's, you know, and like hog out on Reese's. Like that's probably that's like the sugar. Like that's not.
I just
that's not
ate
really
a chocolate
neat.
Twinkie in a If you looked in
It's
on
like
the
a-
side of my bed right now, it's just shame, dude.
Your
chocolate
bed?
on the side of my bed. There's and whatever the fuck that thing is.
Nightstand?
Nightstand, yeah.
You're
And I
welcome.
just have
What?
Twinkie wrappers and fruit. I eat all my son's fucking
Halloween candy?
snacks and Halloween. I just get this craving
Why next to your bed?
because I
Chris
go
sleeps
downstairs
a
like
lot.
a little troll, like late at night,
He's
and I just grab everything out of the cabinet, and then I come upstairs and I fucking
Romeo,
I eat it all.
Romeo's school lunches made he wakes up.
They
it's
started
eating.
hiding his fucking fruit snacks. They like all his like because I was crushing it all. I actually do good, and then I fall the fuck off. I'm a stress eater. Like when I'm stressed or like like I start eating
Fruit
like shit
snacks.
and all that stuff.
But part of the diet, and I'm not even telling anybody they have to do this. It's like ultimately I just believe in continuing to evolve. So if you stay clean for 10 years, how are you continuing to evolve? Or are you just sitting in the knowledge
Can't
that
do
you
the same
have?
shit all the time.
No, it's like
Right.
we desire change ultimately. So it's like the premise is that food, heavy food, especially all the chemicals, you know
that
what I
what-
mean? You can get into all the chemicals that they're putting in food. It suppresses, it's like eating away your feelings. You're suppressing your energy. So ultimately, the lighter you eat, the more in touch you are with your body and your body's energy.
We had that conversation right around when you started to go vegan.
Yep.
And I was saying, like, I was noticing I was eating, like, way too much. So I'd go from really hungry to having these big meals where I'm literally eating until I'm feeling the exact opposite, where I can't even look at food. And now I've dialed it back where I'm eating. Well, first of all, I fast in the morning, and then I'll have lunch at like 12:30 or 1, and I actually been having like a protein shake sometimes, and then a meal later in the day, and then that's it. Problem is, then sometimes late at night,
He fucking
Dude, those
door
cookies.
dashes Mickey D's.
right? I'm like, what are you doing? You just did like
My body
14
talks to me all the
hours.
time. It's like, bro, you eat that ice cream right now, you're gonna shit yourself. I promise you that.
lactose.
As
And
you're
I
eating it,
go,
like-
I know,
But it tastes so
but
good.
I love it
I
so
got to-
much.
I got done working at your house the other day. I walk upstairs. It's fresh cookies. I'm just like, dude, fuck, man.
Oh, it's
I had to run
brutal.
away.
My everything, my goal in life is to be physically, mentally, and spiritually clicking on all cylinders at the same time for once in my life. I've been really good at all sections on individual, like been real strong on my spiritual connect and all that. But my diet, I've been real good in my physical and like been in the best shape of my life, but lacking on connection, lacking on spirit. Like I've been fucking.
Now it's time to hone it all together.
I just wonder what I'm like. I wonder what that's like
Me
to
too.
be hitting on all cylinders.
Where's
It's
that
like-
guy?
I know. Who is that guy?
Where's that guy? Because you're right there.
I'm fucking.
You
right.
are
I'm
there.
right on
Fuck
the-
it.
You're right there.
It's like
What-
a little staticky right now. We just gotta go whoop.
We're gonna take a quick break. I gotta pee. Bang, and we're back from Chris's annual
PP.
pee break.
It's much needed.
All right, so we've been on a wild ride.
This has been fun.
Yeah, no, it's nice. I like it. I like seeing Justin get all fired up like that too, dude. I like it. I love these conversations. It's very intriguing. I'm open minded to everything, man. I had a median.
Median?
I said
Medium.
medium.
How do you want your steak?
Medium. What size is your shirt?
Medium.
She, all that stuff. My mother, I believe, is like fucking connected to something. She's been like that my whole life. She knew what was going on from a distance, whether I was home or whether she called it a transmission line that she had connected to all of us. This is a very morbid story. Not too, it's pretty morbid. And she watches,
It's
Pretty
not.
morbid.
It's
No, it
bad.
isn't. It
she
is.
watches this podcast too. So this is going to probably be painful for her. But my mother,
Triggered.
when my father got sick, the night before we found out that so they brought us to the hospital after he went in to get the brain biopsy. He went to sleep after they saw what was going on in his brain. He had lesions covering his brain. And so they obviously didn't call us in the middle of the night or anything. They brought us into the hospital, and the next day they sat us all in a room, and they came in and told us like he's unresponsive, like everything. It's gone. He's gone. And but my mother in the middle of that night grabbed me and my sister and told us that he was gone. Like no one called her, no nothing. She literally snapped up,
Jesus.
came out, sat us down, and was like, "He's gone." And we were like, "What?" She was like, "He's gone. Like I seen him. Like I felt it. Like
Because she knew.
She knew.
Right.
She knew it was that transmission line." And then we were like, "No, we don't." And she just like went back to sleep. It was fucking.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, no, it was wild. And she's like always tapped into something. Like I could not talk to her, and then all of a sudden I'll be like going through stuff or whatever, and she'll hit me up like, you're not all right, tell me what's going on, or like she feels things, you know. She was the queen of knowing I was high when I was using, when I was younger, when I wasn't even living with her. She would call me up and be like, fucking, you're gonna die, like all that, like crazy shit, dude. Like, and she's always been like tapped into something.
I like that feeling of just knowing.
Yeah.
And like I've had that when I was younger. I've had that my whole life. And I used to tell people things that I probably shouldn't have, you know. And now I just keep my mouth shut, you know, because it's not my place.
Is there anything?
Well, it's different. Some
No.
people aren't. Not everybody's open to receive it, right? And so that's the
Exactly.
thing. And
right, you can't just like go up to people, and that's what I was doing. Like, oh, I should tell them, like, hey, you should really get that tattoo on your lower left calf of the dragon, you know. And they're like, what? It's like unsolicited, like, and it's off-putting because people are like, who the fuck are you? And it's like unsettling.
That shit gives me goosebumps.
So now it's like, okay, I'll keep my mouth shut. If someone asks me specifically, then I will. Other than that, I'm just like, file that.
oh yeah,
But most of these gifts come from feminine energy, actually, from
here we
embracing feminine energy and opening the heart. Like women are more in tune with them, I feel like, or there's more women who are open to it because it's easier for women to embrace their feminine energy. But at the same time, there are a lot of men that really, I would say most of us have these gifts. We've just tuned them out
Exactly.
with blocking, you know, most men block out all feminine energy. In general, we don't live in a society that's very open. We live in the black and white thinking, this or that thinking, which limits, you know, again, thinking is part of the equation. And like, you need to think broader, like
Right.
quantum thinking.
And a lot of people have these abilities specifically that have addiction issues,
Yep.
and alcohol issues, because that's what, well, at least I did, because I didn't know how to deal with it. I didn't know how to deal with it. So I was like, all right, let's just get fucked up, you know, because I was seeing stuff and I was like doing like seance stuff. I don't know what I was doing, but like things are happening. And I'm like, and they're like, shut up. And so I would just get fucked up.
Would you ever think like you were like not just different, but like crazy? Did you ever like why me? Because that bugs me out, like in a good way. Like 1,000% like.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely thought I was different, and I definitely felt like out of place. But I think that's like a human thing.
Yeah.
At some point, you know.
Well, and to speak to your point, why me? There's also theories of in the spiritual world out there that you've chosen your path when you came here. So you might even have chosen addiction to wake you up,
Right.
because going really dark forces people to the light. You know what I mean? If you're just kind of like in between, it's easy to just stay in the in between.
Right.
So it's like there are theories that like we've chosen our pain to get to the light.
Totally. I believe in that. Like
I do too.
before I was born, I sat down and I had a contract and there was like a jury and they're like, all right, what do you want to do? And I was like, all right, let's go to Hawaii. Check. Let's do this. Let's do that. And they're like, okay, on the flip side, how about let's make you an alcoholic? Check. You know, like you have to have all these balances and all these things, like the stuff that you go through are like those different like lessons that I talked about, like to learn. So it's like a contract of what you're going to do for who you're going to become.
I have similar in my, I believe that we're all at some point all put here as vessels and we're used for a purpose. And sometimes it's for us and sometimes it's for others. And I believe that, like for me, like I look back at my life and even my mother for an example and all her trauma that she went through when she was younger and the like horrific shit that she went through, like created this woman that became so important to so many other individuals, like being a specialized home, taking in trauma kids, like loving the unlovable, people that couldn't get, girls that couldn't get placed in homes because they were technically classified as unplaceable. Like they were too fucked up. Like when I tell you like these girls that lived in my house when I was young, like they would draw on the walls in period blood, like fucking cut themselves, like fucking, yeah, no, it was insane. And by the time they left my mother's house, they were different. They were different. Like my mother had more patience and empathy and compassion than nothing fucking scared her. How could it when she had already gone through the scary, like she wasn't shocked. And I feel like that gave her this superpower of just like complete patience and empathy and compassion for whomever and whoever. It was, I have family, people that I call sisters and like family members, black, like it doesn't matter. Like they're all family and they came through my mother's home and she's still like that to this fucking very day. She has someone in her home right now. She has a teenage girl who has a daughter. The girl is still in like high school and the girl's mother just passed away from drug addiction, and my mom, she's still doing it. My mother's. Do
you think that maybe that's a part of your mom's contract or mission?
I do. I believe that. I believe she's here in service to others, and she had to go through what she went through in order for. It was like in preparation. I believe it's the same for me. Mm. Everything that I went through in addiction and all the pain that I've ever felt. I mean, I didn't just lose. I lost I have my stepfather and my biological father, and they both died the exact day. They both went into the hospital on my birthday and passed away, fucking 7 years apart. So I've like between that and like the addiction that I went through and all the fucked up things that I've seen, loss of friends, just like it was everything. It was in preparation. Right. My gift, I believe, is the same gift as my mother's, and it's for addicts. It's not for like her specialty is women, young women and stuff like that. And mine is like, and I was thinking about this the other day. It's like my buddy Joe just lost his father. Shout out Joe. And I was at the services at the graveyard, and he gave the most beautiful fucking eulogy I've ever heard. And it was like he did like he honored his father and his family, and his mother was there, and his brother was there, and his sister. And he read this speech, and he talked about his father's relationship with his mother and the love that he had for his mother. And he talked about his father's relationship with his brother and like specific things about that relationship, and talked about it with his sister. And then he talked about like, then there was me. Now Joe was like the spit from his father's mouth, the same mannerisms, like the same, like his father went through addiction, he went through addiction. They both had that like, how you doing, hey, like type of personality. And like, and then he gave like this talked about the impact that his father had on his life, teaching him how to be a man. And he went through the 5 life lessons that his father taught him. And it was the most beautiful speech I ever heard. And like, he had that for 70 something years, and his father got to meet his kids. He got to watch his daughter get married. He got to teach his son lessons. He got to be there for all these fears. He got to like help him understand all these things in life. And like as men, we yearn for like that sense of like comfort and protection, someone to be like, you're going to be all right. You know, like I know you're scared, but I got you. And like I had a moment of that with like my stepfather, and he used to say like, used to tell me all the time, do it afraid. But like I lost that full connection because of active addiction. So like my memories from when I was 2 to whatever. And then like by the time I was 14, it was like we disconnected till I was 22. By the time I got clean, I had a couple years with him and then he passed away. I never really got that comfort of a father. And then my biological father was an alcoholic and he could never get his shit together. He was in jail most of my life. And then when he was out, he ended up drinking himself to death. So I yearn for that like sense of like comfort. I always have with like, just like someone, I remember when I bought my house and I never thought I could buy a house, and I finally bought a house, and then I was looking around and I got my pregnant wife and I'm about to like have a newborn, and it's like all these fears, and there was nobody for me to call like as far as like family, you know, like a strong male influence that's like, this is how you fuck with the all man shit that I didn't know how to do. And that's why I am the way that I am with like addict men. You know, like I want to take that place of, it's not that I want to be their father. It's just like I want to answer the questions of the fears that I know that they're going to have. Like, especially there's a lot of guys that have my similar story. Like it's like Jay has a similar story. And there's so many young men in early recovery that don't have that positive male influence of their life, that sense of protection, that sense of someone to be like, I know you're afraid, but I'm going to show you. This is how you fix your credit. This is how you build yourself up in your life. This is what a bank account is. Like, this is how you save money. This is how you eat healthy. This is how you lift weights. This is how you fucking, you all these things that you want to, that as a man. And it's like, I feel like subconsciously I do that because it's something that I yearned. And when I was watching that Joe give his eulogy about his father, it was like, that was it. You know, I've been seeking that and searching that my whole life, that like that sense of comfort, you know, and like that sense of like, just because it's like, as men, I still get scared, you know, I'm still afraid, you know, and there's still that inner child inside of me that just wants someone to just, that it's like, I remember back in, and I won't go on too much longer, but I remember back when my stepfather, like the best part of our relationship, it was like the last year or two when we were like building on our relationship, and it was fucking beautiful, and recovery gave me that. And I remember at that time I was dancing, and I had this competition in New York, and I was fucking terrified, man. And I was so scared, and it was like, there was like all these people gonna be there, and it was like this big deal. And I remember calling him and just telling him how afraid I was, and he just was like, you know what, Chris, you just got to do it afraid. You're going to be all right. And it was like such simple words that he gave to me, but it was like, it was like the gospel hearing it. It was like coming from someone that the words I believed. It wasn't like from just anybody. And it's that sense of like that comfort, you know, that moment. And I find that all that and all those emotions and everything in preparation is like, I feel like I'm in my service and to humanity and stuff like that is like, I know that's part of my path, you know, and I want to be that sense of comfort for people. Like I want to be someone that tells people it's going to be all right. I used to be classified as the guy that co-signed everybody's most fucked up anything. Why? Because I was always constantly looking for someone that no matter what I told them that I've did or I've done or what I've gone through, they weren't going to run away from me, you know? And so like, I do have a high level of tolerance. Like my wife always says, you forgive everybody. It's like, because I was always desperate to be forgiven. You know, I know what it's like to lose, you know? And it's like, I don't even know how I got on this rant and no one's cut me off. So, I think
you needed to say it. And
maybe.
I think you needed to say it because you're a dad. And I think the aspects of the males in your life is going to heavily influence your children, right?
Yeah, I agree. But speaking to that point in a spiritual experience I've had was, my mom wasn't there for me, and I ended up in foster care. My father too. I'm not going to go long here, but it's like I had a spiritual experience where I saw that, and people can say I'm crazy in here, and I get it, but that I was an older soul than my mother. Do you know what I mean? And like, I chose the path that I chose to get me where I am today. So like before I ever came here, it gave me a different understanding. It literally made me view it in a whole different light. I was viewing it from my higher self, understanding that like I misinterpreted what happened. You know what I mean? Because most of us misinterpret, and we're craving something that is ultimately it's one of your challenges. I would say it's one of the reasons that you're here. It's one of the things that you need to learn is like, and it's given me a different perspective where like now I've had spiritual experiences where I've been visited by my mom and had nothing but love and compassion. When on this earth, I had too much anger and resentment every time we spent time together because I was viewing it like she didn't give me what I needed. Right. When really she wasn't here to give me what I needed. She was here exactly on the path she was supposed to. And I chose the darkness to fulfill the path that I'm on today years later. So to me, the shit gets wild when you start to interpret it from different dimensions and altered states of consciousness. It'll give you interpretations of things that you would never be capable of. And so that's why I'm such a big supporter of, Marconics or any healing, spiritual healing arts to get you into different states of consciousness.
And it does get wild because it's something new, it's something different. And typically people, they go to like the fear-based and something new, right? But I mean, if you have like an open mind, you can kind of digest it if you choose. Yeah. I mean, that's how I look at it.
At the end of the day, you'll see what you need to see. It's just like you said, people get on the table and then ultimately things are revealed. You know what I mean? Your higher self will talk to yourself.
Yeah, you got to be open. Go ahead. I'll let you. Go ahead. Go ahead. You deserve it. I'm just kidding. So you got to be in
I liked how you were, when you were just saying like about path and purpose. We talk about that a lot here, right? You talk about like Hawaii, check, and then check. And like to have that mindset, like I'm happy I have it now, because before there was a lot of like self-pity, right? It's like why me? Why me? Why did my girlfriend die, at 16 and a half years old? Why am I homeless right now? Why? But to understand now, because lately it's all, I would say within the last like year and a half, it's like, this is why, right? And it's like understanding that like whatever your concept, like whether it's spirituality, God, whatever, like I honestly believe now that like I went through all the pain, the suffering, and there's a lesson. And I say that to guys. I recently talked to a gentleman that I know from the program, and he found someone that we both know overdosed and dead, and he's crying. He's like, I've never talked about it. Why me? I'm like, why not you? Right? Maybe that's your way. Like maybe you found, your friend, and you're going through this pain so you can pass it on to someone else and you can help someone else through it. And it's about understanding that like, no matter what, right? Anytime I take my will back, shit gets fucked up. Okay. But anytime I ultimately surrender and just try to listen to me on the inside, stuff gets easier. And like, I think my life is going in one direction and it actually takes a better direction and things work out easier.
Yeah, it's letting go. Yeah. It's understanding the only thing you know for sure is that you don't know shit. Yeah. And it keeps you in a state of humility. Like, I don't know anything absolute. I mean, it's like, well, the second I get in that mindset, it's pretty much we're trying to debunk anything. It's like we live in the gray area. The comfort place for me is in the gray area. The black or white is what makes me feel like I have to pick a side. Even if you look at like what's going on in our fucking country right now or everything, it's divisiveness and it's people picking sides. It's fucking insanity. But if we live in the collective and we get in that this and that mentality and stuff like that, it's like that's what healing. It's the open-mindedness to the possibilities of essentially anything.
Well, and understanding that alchemy are all that is. Even bad things serve purpose. So if you can start to open your mind to everything is happening for a larger purpose, and alchemy, it's the concept of alchemy. Not the concept, alchemy is a thing. But it's like you can start to understand, like it doesn't have to be this is right, this is wrong. It's like there's a bigger picture that I can't understand, but if I step back, I actually can start to see it. Right. Like, holy shit.
If you live your life with like what your truth is and like integrity and stand up for what you believe in, whatever that is, then things kind of like fall into place. When you're doing like half-ass shit or you're just going through the process of whatever, like that's when it gets kind of mucky,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you just stand up and like things just like happen. And like I took a jump recently and like I wasn't scared because I know like I have my back. Like higher aspects of me have my back. And what I was doing wasn't in my integrity. And so when I did make a choice to like move on, everything just kind of clicked and like lined up, you know, like Tetris, like it just happened. But it's just kind of like magical. And like people are like, oh my God, like, why did you do that? And I was like, dude, I'm just going to trust it. Like, take the jump.
Justin's so about that. And I listen to it, right? It's about like believing in it and like speaking it, right? And when you say it, like it makes it real, but like really truly believing it, like you talk about like, this is like, I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to make this happen.
Right.
And it's like the first step of like making it happen. I mean,
Well, the
obviously
first
there's a lot
step,
of hard-
but the law of attraction also believes that you're already in the vibration of the success.
Okay.
Like you literally are already vibrating on it's happened. And if you're not vibrating on it's already happened, then you're kind of screwed. You know what I mean? Like it's that. So conceptually, everybody has thought about something that they want and experienced. You know what I mean? It's like you apply to a school and then you're all excited. You know what I mean? Because just the thought of getting into the school, you're experiencing being in the school. You haven't gotten the fucking school. School hasn't accepted you. Just the thought of it, you start to get into a feeling and a vibration. Ultimately, that's a piece of like the law of attraction. You start to hone your thinking into, you know, essentially imagining, but like imagination's another skill. Visualization is another skill that people don't realize holds weight in consciousness.
And like we talked about contracts and what you're going to go through in your life. But say you're on like one contract line and then you can change it at any time. Like you have the power to change it and be like, you know what? I'm not feeling this. I don't want to be a baker. I'm going to be a plumber. All right, change it.
Yeah.
Just like shift directions and like make it happen.
No, for sure. And it's we talked about that last podcast, but I'm a firm believer in that because people get so caught up in like, what if I don't know what it is that I want? It's like then the declaration is that you're in pursuit of finding that, right? And it's like you don't. For me, my biggest thing, and I tell everybody, and this is why people think I'm crazy and people that think he's crazy, because we don't get caught up in the how. Never. We're almost sometimes so bad with the getting caught up, not getting caught up in the how, that we're fucking borderline reckless. Yeah. We focus in on the what, and then we just stop moving. And we have a firm belief in that the how is going to work itself out, and it'll be revealed. And it's just like trusting in like that. It's like as simple as this, right? This whole journey of where I sit in this current moment in this place began with dialogue. How that dialogue began was through a conversation that I had with him and with other people. And even prior to him, it was with my buddy Pete. And it was like, I started off, I had no credit, no money. Pete had credit, but no money. And I just had an idea. And the idea sprung from my buddy Keith was in Florida, and he was coming home from Florida, and he was going to move into a sober house. And I had this feeling like I wanted to do something. And I wanted to open up my own sober living, and I wanted to just love guys up and do something better. But I didn't have the means or whatever, but I was obsessively in thought of it. And I wrote stuff down. I came up with plans and all this stuff. And I constantly had the dialogue around it. I set the intention, and through that intention, I was in my dancing school, and I had this girl, Chanel, shout out Chanel, from what's her yoga, Sweet Balance Yoga. I had a conversation with her. She was at my dance at school. She asked me if she could come because it was the beginning of her process of doing yoga. She said, can I come and give a free yoga class to your dance studio, to your students? I would love to promote. I'm trying to do my own thing. I said, absolutely, come through. And she came through, and after the yoga class, I participated. I didn't leave. And at the end of it, I felt good, and we were engaging in dialogue. And I said to her, we were talking about what's going on in life, and she said, what else are you doing? Is you just teaching dance? And I said, actually, what I really want to do, what I've been thinking about, is I want to open up a sober house. Me and Taki have been talking about it. It's just tough because we don't have the finances. We have the credit, this and that. And she said, you know who you should talk to? My brother. He owns a bunch of properties. And I didn't even know she had a brother, and I didn't even know he had properties. And so I was like, oh, that'd be cool. I'll definitely talk to him. And I remember calling him, and he was like, sure, I'll meet with you. And I met him at a Chick-fil-A in the North Shore Mall. And I pitched him an idea. And he said, I have an apartment in Lynn, one apartment. And I'm potentially willing to do this. And then I went to Justin. And Justin had just had an affirmation and meditation that told him that he needed to do more in service to others, like utilize the money.
Through money.
Through money.
Specifically. I literally was hearing that, like, I was being in service sponsoring people, but monetarily, I wasn't, I was making a lot of money doing IT, and I was doing nothing to give back. So literally, I just gotten the message, like, I'm supposed to be giving back monetarily.
Selfish prick. That's what we heard, basically.
I mean, yeah.
But all that, and next thing you know, we're in an apartment. We're walking through this. He evicted his top floor. It was disgusting, cockroach infested. Like, and we're like,
and our
holy
idea
shit.
was the nicest sober houses around, and we picked the fucking biggest shithole you've
Oh
ever
my
fucking
God.
seen in your life. But we completely gutted it.
and maxed out his credit cards,
Yeah, we
and
spent like $30,000 on the first apartment. It was insane.
oh, so insane. But
Jesus
that
Christ.
that dialogue, that conversation, that interaction with Chanel that led to Keith, that led me to talking to Justin, brought this into existence. You know, and it started with an idea, an affirmation, energy.
Right.
It started in meditation. He could have said no. He says no. That doesn't happen.
No.
It doesn't happen. He was Mr. Moneybags back then. Like, he was Mr. IT. Just bought a house in Melrose. Fucking all that shit. And I was on a dancer's budget. You know what I mean? I was making money sometimes and money no times. And it's like, but here we are, you know? And like, that's like and since then, and that's why, like, you can't logically explain that. You can't logically tell people, like, oh, people don't, because they get so consumed in the how, and then they talk themselves out of, like, this isn't, it's like you just took a leap of faith. You left that job with no direct idea of, like, how is it going to all work out? How? Because if you focus on how it was all going to work out, you'd still be there. You just know intuitively, I'm going to be okay. And therefore you will. Is there bumps in the road? Are there struggles? Of course there is. Don't be fucking naive. Nothing good or worth having comes easy. It comes with fucking struggle, and it comes with persistence and hard work and all that shit. But it's like, if you keep your focus on the what and that understanding, and have that faith that the universe, you intuitively already know where you're supposed to go, that it's going to be all right, and don't lose faith. Yeah, I believe you can do anything in here, and the journey is the fucking best part, man. The most exciting shit. It's like I'm still. It's like we lose ourselves in the stress of stuff all the time, and then right when we get recentered, and it always happens through conversations that get us to pause and look around. Once you do that, you realize you're already all right.
A lot of people get stuck in, like, their analytical brain of, like, how's it going to happen? How's it going to work? You know, like, what's the plan? You know, it's kind of like, you use your Wi-Fi every day. Do you know how that works? You use it, like, you believe in that, right? You're on your phone. So, like, you trust that, but you can't trust yourself on a concept. It just, like, blows my mind. And I get it, because people, like, they need, like, research and data, and how's this going to work? How's this going to affect? Like, just do it, you know? Stop being a pussy and fucking trust yourself.
Oh, absolutely. But the worst part is that, like, other people, it's the most dangerous things like, the most resistance that you're going to have is through other people's over-analytical minds and fears being projected onto you.
Yeah,
it's
that's why
my
you don't
fears that
tell
were always
people
instilled.
what you're doing.
Well, we're naturally, like, but that's why it's important to surround yourself with the right people.
Yeah.
It's like, show me your friends, I'll show you your future, and, like, fucking get the right people around you. And if you don't have friends in your life that are supportive and that have your back and that aren't, like, then fucking get rid of them. Do yourself if they bring a negative energy, or if you feel like intuitively they're not fucking clapping on you when you're with your successes, and they're not, like, get rid of them. Don't waste your fucking time, man. Stick with the people that are gonna pump your tires, feel your spirit, give you confidence, not break your fucking confidence.
Yeah, I got a whole cheerleading squad, and, like,
You have
those
to.
are my cheerleaders, and like, we boost each other up. And I don't want to roll with non-cheerleaders.
Yeah.
Is the
No.
thing. Like, why would I?
It's bad energy too. You could probably sense that shit.
Yeah, why would I? That's why I have, like, friends, like 5 friends, you know, like, legit friends. Like, I got a lot of people I know. I hang out with people, but, like, my core group, those are who I go to.
Yeah.
And when I know, like, I'm going to do something, they already know what I'm going to do, what I'm going to say anyways, you know? And then they're there to support me. Hey, I think I'm going to do this. I think I'm going to be a booty yoga instructor. They're like, yeah, do it. You be perfect. Get on it, you know?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's like us talking about the gym, the basketball gym. We just get in a conversation with friends about basketball gym, and instantly it starts to gain energy of all of us with the ideas. I could do this, I could do that, I could do this. And now it's out there. And, like, Do we have the gym right this second? No.
It's
But when the
gonna happen.
opportunity comes, we're going to take it because we know
But-
that we were supposed to do it. So we've put it out there.
What was the first instinct when we won't name names? She knows who she is. When she found out about us talking to her boo thing about this gym, her instant reaction was like, "You guys aren't doing that. You can't do that.
Yeah,
How are you
get
going to do
focused.
that?
You got to
Get-
focus on
Yeah.
what we're doing now.
Sounds just like her.
I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
you. Sorry.
I
about
love
that.
you,
Yeah,
Jenna.
I apologize.
But we are crazy. I'll give that to people. We're not fucking easy. We are crazy. We're out of our mind. But it is
Maybe
what
you're
it is.
Well, and
normal.
it's-
maybe
and-
you're just normal.
Well, we're
Maybe.
normal because the truth is that there is third dimension rules and then there's other dimension rules. So what we're talking about is beyond the third dimension. Can you just push and get something done? Yes, you can, but it takes a lot of force. You know what I mean? Where it's like you can manifest stuff and attract stuff and you're more in flow. So it's like, it's not, because people will argue this all day long, and I agree with you. If you give 100% of your effort to something, eventually it will happen. But at the same note, they say that 80% of your results come from 20% of your work. So I'm arguing that tune in to your intuitive self and figure out what the 20% is. And you can do the 20% of work, and life doesn't become this stressful entity because people putting in 100%. The problem with putting in 100% is if you're putting 100% into one thing, you have other areas of your life that need some
suffer.
fucking percentage
Yeah.
that are lacking. And so eventually you get stressed out with this life that you're just push. And it doesn't feel like you're living your path and purpose because you're not. You have percentage that is missing in other areas of your life. So what we're talking about is tapping into other power. You know what I mean? Tapping into power and gaining intuition and listening.
No, for
like
sure.
it.
But on that note, we're coming to the end of the podcast. And before we go, if someone wants to maybe, I don't know if you're open for business. I don't know what you're, but if they want to get in touch with you, I'm going to put your
Sure.
shit out here right on the screen.
Yeah.
Nico's
Yeah.
going to edit it. But anyway, you can tell them how to find you.
Yeah. You can find me on Insta. It's Jessica Harwood 144.
We'll show that on the screen.
JRWOOD. And then Facebook, it's Ignite Your Light Energy Healing. And I do Marconics no touch sessions, and then I also do Acu Detox, which
Hell
is
yeah.
ear acupuncture, and it's really good for around the holidays to like de-stress.
Yeah, it works.
No, we actually
Yeah.
just had that done.
In the office, yeah.
It's
it works.
awesome. I love it. But I'd like to thank you for coming on the podcast. You did amazing.
thank you.
I definitely want to have you back on with Nicole in here as well, and potentially even Chanel. I think that would be an awesome little. They're actually so the girls. We have the girls at the office. They're gonna do once a month to start, but they're gonna do the joke is they're gonna call it SomeBuddies Podcast, where the girls come in here and none of the guys come on the show.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that was shout out Michelle Smith. That was her idea for
That's a good idea.
Yeah, but we're right. We need to get more fucking feminine energy on the podcast.
Who fucking approved this? Oh,
We need to get the fucking feminine energy, Justin.
I didn't mean without men. I mean, I meant
Yeah.
some men feminine energy.
But
I'm just kidding.
we
looking forward
appreciate
to
you.
that.
We appreciate you coming
Thank you.
on, and
Thanks for having me.
that's it. Peace.
Peace.
Thanks.